Thank you, GB. And I'm going to put this mic here, and we're going to do a test. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Can you hear me okay? I'm a college professor, so I have a loud voice already. And I'd like to...
but you might have to have the mic in order for the recording.
Ah, okay. All right, we'll make this work, and thank you. So let's get an idea of who's here today. And they're all sitting to this side. Well, yeah. Yeah. How many of you are artists? All right, great. And you know you can raise your hand twice here. So how many of you would consider yourself music professionals? Okay, great. How many of you are entrepreneurs? You would call yourself entrepreneurs? Well, that was a trick question because all of you musicians are entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. But anyway, well, thank you for telling us who you are. And I see some familiar faces. Thank you, friends, for being here. Let's let each of our panelists today, our star-studded panelists, by the way, let's let each of them introduce themselves. And I'm going to pass the mic here and ask them to share their name and a few words about what they do. Here we go.
Why do I have to be first? I know, I'm in the hot seat. My name is Nikki Swarn. I'm the former general manager and program director for Kuvo Jazz, 89.3 and 104.7 The Drop. I helped launch that radio station in the Denver market. I'm now the chief marketing officer for 6 radio stations nationwide, ranging from Houston all the way to Norfolk, Virginia. But I am an entrepreneur at heart, and I'm always in the business trying to figure out how can we make this world of music better for our artists. I'm pro-artists. I want y'all to have all the money because you all are the creative entities behind it, and it is my passion. I know Storm from teaching at the University of Colorado at Denver. I teach in their music business courses there. So if you're in school, come take my classes, okay?
Hi, I'm Bonny Dolan. I am a music supervisor. I've been doing it for years. I put music on brands and in TV and film. I'm from Chicago, and I moved to Denver 6 years ago. And what Caitlin was saying this morning, I thought there's so much music in Denver, but there's no communication. So I started Women in Music, a chapter of Women in Music in Denver. Thank you. And I'm on the Grammy board, represent all of us. That's how I know Storm, because he's a Grammy member. We're part of the San Francisco chapter, so that's what I do. And I just do everything for artists to try to make money, because it's not that easy, but it's wonderful. You can do it. And you can do it, and we can help you. See you later.
Hi, I'm John Burcham. I'm the founder of Smooth Loop Management. We work with artists who focus on basically not touring. So sources of revenue like sync licensing, music education, producer, musician resources, all those great things. So I think, one of the things that I'm really interested to talk about is that touring isn't the only way to make money in this industry, even though it's the most public facing and maybe the most obvious. And for some people, the most alluring. Like wanting to be on stage and wanting to share what you've done with the most people is extremely gratifying. But there's lots of other ways to make money in this industry. So, hi.
Greetings. My name is Kayla Marque, keeper of the keys, opener of portals, and converger of worlds. I am an artist, a storyteller, and it's funny, I just am meeting these other panelists for the first time today, even though I know their names, and I've known Storm for a long time, so I'm thankful to be here.
Awesome. Well, as you can see, we have some fantastic, great minds up here on stage today, and me, and we are going to try to tackle some of the basic questions of the topic of the panel, And I ask that as we go through maybe 3 or 4 questions, let us get through those, and then we want to hear from you all. So be preparing those questions because we are going to definitely make time for Q&A. All right?
Storm, who are you?
Oh, I'm Storm. Hello. I'm a music business professor at CU Denver, and a couple of students at least here today, and former students. Great. And that's me. Now, I am not on TikTok or posting anything on social media, whatever. These are literally my notes, so I'm not distracted here. But I'm going to start by asking questions of the audience, and I'll just let anyone who wants to chime in on this go. But I'd like each of you to let us know your thoughts. And I'm just going to put it to you this way. Beyond the most obvious and traditional income streams for an artist, live shows, recordings, etc., what would you consider to be the most important other or alternative streams of revenue? All right, Bonnie, you're our winner for starting us off.
Oh, hello. Can I take it out? Never mind. It's fine. Can you hear me?
We can take one down, Pastor.
Okay, thank you. It's because what I do, music licensing. If you can get your music in an ad on YouTube or streaming or TikTok or on a TV show, which the stuff that I do, it's hard, but it gives you incredible exposure and some money. And I think besides touring, that it is a good way to get some dough. And to make sure that if you write something, you get it BMI or ASCAP. So if your music is played anywhere, you'll get some PRO money. So there are little ditties to get money besides what Storm said.
I just want to piggyback off of that because I have had music licensed. I've had a song on 3 MTV shows, and I know it was a hard door for me to get my foot into. But once you do, you start creating these connections, and then you start getting, the checks coming in the mail that you forgot about. You're like, oh, I wrote this song 2 years ago. And so I just want to say that sync is a bit more of a long game. Be creating catalogs. If you're someone that makes instrumental music and you have that catalog on SoundCloud or whatever, start pitching that, start sending that to people, because there's so video games, commercials, movies, there's so many spots, and now we have Snapchat and TikTok that are all looking for music. And so it could, your song could get picked up tomorrow, or it could get picked up 10 years from now. You never know. But I just encourage you to build that catalog and start exploring. There's a couple good books that I got. Songs That Sync is one of them. I recommend that if you're interested in learning more about this.
I would say it's about a mindset. Because financially, we all want to make money because we need to pay for extremely expensive housing in Colorado, right? And we like to eat. I don't know about you. I like food, and generally it's not free. But I think it's about perspective. Niche marketing is really lucrative because it allows you to be really authentic. And when you don't know who you are, it's very hard for you to market to anyone. Right? It's hard for you somebody comes up to you and says, okay, so describe your music. And you're like, oh, it's this thing, and then it's kind of this thing, but do you know? And people look at you like they don't know. It means you haven't refined your messaging yet. You're not sure who you are just yet. So we jump right to marketing and wanting to make revenue and make money, but start with that first. Who am I? Am I reflecting the experience that I want people to really see of me as a musician? And then sit in your niche. It is the time for that. You see this happening in the transition of influencers. Each and every one of you as an artist is an influencer. You have people that listen to your music, whether it's one person or 100,000 people. Super serve that community that you have. I also like a lot of things where you're co-branding. I love when I see a great independent musician partner with local brands in their community. That's a win-win for both, right? You can charge them $500, $250. I'll put you on my laptop if you're a DJ. I'll put your sticker on my laptop in the cities when I'm touring locally in the state. Be creative about those opportunities and those revenue lines. They're not going to be straight. They're really wavy. And so when you think about this, think about it in like 7 degrees. Like I have 7 different ways that I can make money off of this single offering. The last thing I will say is your relationship with independent radio, i.e. public media, is paramount. I got a chance to play Kayla's music, and every time her music came on the radio station, and this is no lie because she's sitting up here, I'm telling you this because I don't have any reason to lie. I loved playing her music. It was happy, it was fun, it gave us like the bubble, and we pulled her from just being on the weekends and rotation there to putting her on a major rotation on the station, because that's what public media does. It's a connective tissue. And believe it or not, when you get that relationship, you stand in front of an audience that's primed for you. So you never know who's sitting in that space for you, and you're getting that rotation. And you're building a relationship with a radio station who might say, hey, you know what? We've got a client who's looking for someone to do X, Y, Z type of show. It comes in the most obscure ways. So get out of your own way, get out of your own head, and think, I'm already successful because I've put my music out and I've shared it with the world. Now, what do I want to do with it?
Yeah, I think instead of talking about my favorite or one single stream of income, I think diversifying your streams of income is the most important thing you can do as a musician who's up and coming, no matter what you do, who you are. And I think that can look so many different ways. For example, if you are a guitarist, as a guitarist, you could be a songwriter, you could be in a band, you could be a solo artist. With that, you could be, someone who's making money from touring, from merch sales, from streams. You could also be an educator. You could teach people guitar one-on-one. You could teach groups. You could be a content creator. You could teach people online. You can sell courses. You can write for sync. Like, there's so many different ways that any one skill set can be utilized. And to Nikki's point about the sort of 7 ways that you might be able to take what you're doing and get it out to people. And outside of that, I think that having more than one skill is really valuable too. So if you are an artist, being involved in the music business in some other way, maybe you're promoting shows locally, maybe you are helping to market for your favorite label, maybe there's so many ways that you can be involved, and those complementary streams of income are, they all rise together. The people you meet doing one thing impact the other ways that you're working in this industry.
Bouncing off of what these two say, it's so important to be proactive about yourself. And all of you guys are proactive because you're here. And you never know who you're going to meet. And I believe, and I've probably been doing this longer than before you guys were born. But like Caitlin said before, I'm still really active in this music business, so I'm kind of spunky for an old broad. Yeah, you never know who you're going to meet, and I like what you said about 7 different ways. And I also have to talk a little bit about Grammy U. I don't know if you guys know about what Grammy U is. You can either be in school or up to 27 years old. I think it's $50 a year. And the networking and who you meet through that, as in addition to what you do here, is a wonderful value. So I would check into Grammy U because there's mentor. It's just an addition to Youth on Record, in case you don't know about it. And also this Women in Music, if anybody wants to look into that, because there's just networking and who you know and who you might meet and what they know. And if someone's looking for something, somebody can say, hey, I know this person. You should meet this person. And you do make money through all the networking, because people who you know will call you first before they'll call somebody else that's just a random musician.
All right, we'll do a little mic etiquette here. I think what we'll do is, why don't you two share a mic and you two share a mic? No,
That's
we're
a
good.
idea.
All right.
He's so fair.
Anyway, I do have kids. I learned these things. You're a great parent. You'll be a great parent. Whatever, you got it.
I have 9 godkids and 2 nephews. I'm good.
All right. Well, I also want to ask you, first of all, that you probably saw from the description of this panel, we're covering a lot of stuff. And again, I said we're going to do some Q&A sessions, but you know, these are all legends up here, so I encourage you to come see us after this panel too. And as Bonnie said, networking is all about it. You need to meet people next to you at this panel too, okay? Just want to throw those words in. And ask the panelists, what are you seeing out there? You know, we're going to talk about marketing for a minute. As Nikki pointed out, it's very key. Have you seen anyone do something particularly interesting in their marketing? Or in the case of if you work with artists or are an artist, what have you done? And it's been pretty successful. Discuss.
I think that the number one thing that you can do for marketing is owning your own audience. Extremely important. So I've been in this industry about 15 years, and relatively short amount of time to have seen so many different ways that you interact with your audience come and go. So if you were around in the era of blogs when that was a big deal, you might have interacted with people on the press level that don't really exist in the same way anymore. And then you came up with SoundCloud and Facebook, and those are not really great ways to reach your audience anymore. So I highly suggest having an email list. It's really important. The ways that you can activate your fan base to your email list, I think, is the bread and butter. So for example, if you are playing a festival, say you get an opportunity to play a festival, and you're playing the very first slot on the first day, right? Who knows how many people might be there? But you can leverage that into a contest. Hey, sign up for my email list and I'll give away 2 of my guest list passes to somebody who is a potential fan of mine. So then you have an opportunity to leverage what you're doing to build your audience in a way that you own it for the long term.
Yes, absolutely. And to bounce off of that, doing a giveaway at the show is a way that I've gotten more followers. Something that I do at the show is a giveaway from my sponsors, and we can talk about sponsorship in a little bit. But what I ask people to do is to follow me on Instagram. They have 30 seconds to a minute. And depending on the size of the show, I mean, I've gotten like 400 followers in 30 seconds doing this. And then you give them something to go home with that's very like curated, has merch in it, has stickers, you know, something that they can take home. And then usually they post about it, so then you get that extra marketing and people are like, oh, who is this? And they're giving away free things, and so you end up getting to connect with people that maybe wouldn't have followed you otherwise, and then they become curious about your page. I direct them to Instagram because that's where I'm most active, but you can decide what is best for you. Just a little idea.
I would say use technology. We have a lot of discussions about the perils of AI. Oh, I don't want to be in that space. However, we have to kind of change our relationship with how we want to use AI. We don't have to use it to impersonate ourselves, but we can use it to expedite things, right? Expedite and get things in order. Because after all, this is a business. And most artists are creatives, right? And the last thing you want to do is have to like think about paying bills or doing the business part, because that's not fun. It's not fun. I want to be out on stage singing with the microphone and the people, right? And maybe the business part isn't fun for you, but do it this way. This is what I tell the artists that I used to manage all the time, and we were on the road, and they were like, we don't want to get ready for touring. And I was like, why? This is like amazing. Because they didn't want to do the business. I said, just do 1%. Anybody who listens or have read Atomic Habits, you'll know this from that book. 1%. Just do 1% every day and watch how those stack up. And you can stack your habits because this is what it is. You build the habits now in order for you to deliver what you need to deliver later. Because once you build the system, you just feed it. And feeding it is simple. That's where you use the lift of AI and technology to help you get to identifying those database opportunities or looking at your analytics more positively in order to leverage, hey, I have 1,200 followers that just happened yesterday. And now you can go talk to a sponsor and say those things. So it's all going to be about perspective and how you look at what it is that you want your outcome to be. What is it that you want? And some of us get really afraid to say what we want our outcomes to be, right? Oh, I don't want to tell anybody I want to be super famous. I don't want to tell anybody I want to be the next Drake. I don't want to tell anybody, or I guess I should say Kendrick, because that's a little bit, okay. Or the next Megan Thee Stallion, or whoever it is that you love, right? I want to be that next person because I think I have it in me to do it. People are very afraid to meet themselves, but you have to. This is a very scary and challenging environment that we exist in. But what I see and what I'm seeing being out, I travel all over the country and all over the world. What I'm seeing is people are missing the core connection to each other. And the thing that's doing it right now is music. And you all have this prime opportunity to sit in these spaces and share your art and your connection with others. So don't take that for granted. Maybe it's somebody who comes to your show all the time. Make them a super fan. Give them something special. Treat them like they are just amazing. You know, getting a chance to, and I'm sorry, I'm like totally in her space, because it was a big deal to me. I had never met her in person all these years that we've been playing her music. I had never met her in person. We had never had a chance to work together. And here we are sitting on a panel, and I am like fangirling, because it's a big deal. She's a creative. She's doing something that a lot of people dream about doing, and we're playing her records. So now there's a connection. Now we take that somewhere. And I tag her on my social. She tags me on her social. And now my audience gets to get hip to her. There's a win there, right? There's a win there.
I had an artist who was just starting and was very community minded and got involved with a nonprofit. And even though she didn't have a shit, can I say shit ton?
Yeah, I think we're allowed to.
Even though she didn't have a shit ton of money, every ticket she sold, she gave $2 to the charity that she really believed in. And, you know, that's one way to do it if you have a serious belief in something. Another thing I have to say is what John said about you can do like 12 different things. You can be a solo artist, a guitarist, in a band, blah, blah, and produce your own stuff. But I really believe when you're starting, you kind of have to pick a lane. And I think I have found that in my world. Yeah. I mean, do you want to be an artist? Do you want to fill the Ball Arena? Do you want to just fill the Skylark Lounge? You know, I think you have to have a goal for starters. You know, if you want to be Kendrick Lamar, mazel tov. I think it's wonderful. But I think you need to focus a little bit on what you're doing and sell a bunch of merch.
And to catch up on that, I think, you know, the idea of becoming an expert at what you do, this 10,000 hours, mythical 10,000 hours, there are ways that you can do more than one thing and feed the same 10,000 hours. So if you're a guitarist and you are teaching other people, you will become a better guitarist by teaching others, without a doubt. You will organize your own knowledge in a way that you can communicate it to other people, which makes you understand it better yourself. If you are a songwriter and you're writing for a band and you're writing for sync, those are two things that can feed the same 10,000 hours.
They just have to work together.
Thank you. Those were great responses, and there's a number of key points I want to reiterate from my own experience and seeing things. I spoke at NAMM earlier this year, and what was shared there reminded me that you got to think of this as a long haul. There are going to be lean times, for sure, but your popularity is going to grow and grow, and whether it's locally, nationally, Kendrick Lamar or Storm Gloor level, you want to be thinking long term. As Kayla mentioned, what are you going to do when life happens? Maybe you have a family or something like that. Publishing money, you can still be receiving that forever. Getting sync licenses, getting your music out there, teaching, as was brought up. There's so many things you can do beyond, and I hope that bubble lasts forever and ever and ever, but the reality is at some point things are going to settle down for you. So always be thinking, and what the panelists shared there I think is very important for long-term thinking as well.
Storm, I would also add that do not underappreciate the value of mentorship. Like, mentorship is transformational because you can have a series of different kinds of mentors. Maybe you have someone who's taking care of you right in this moment, right where you are presently. And then you have a mentor who is your aspirational goal. Those relationships are lucrative. I have my same mentor. I've been in radio 27 years. I have the same mentor 27 years later who I've surpassed what she did in her career, but she's my first call. Hey, I got this opportunity, blah, 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 blah. Can I run it by you? We get inside our own heads and we become our executioners in that space, right? So having that ability to bounce something off of someone, to say, I want to try this, they'll help you think through those steps and kind of cultivate and help you feed your idea. And then that way you're not sitting inside of your head. Sorry.
No, it's great. And Bonnie, please.
Oh.
And then Kayla.
And I think one of the things that I tell any of you guys is to just be careful what you sign and who you're dealing with, and make sure there's a lot of scamming.
I think you're fine. I think we're good.
A lot of so don't do anything without attorneys that just look at something that somebody's offering you. Oh, you can make a shit ton of money here. Make sure, and there are attorneys that aren't going to cost you a bunch of money. But I think that's an essential part of your future, is to stay legal.
Kayla.
Just real quick, as Nikki mentioned, mentorship, and I want to plug something really quick because it's a resource to you. I am the director of Bodies of Culture, which is a program under Levitt Pavilion, and we have a mentorship program that runs for 6 months from March to September, and then our mentees get to perform at Levitt in September at a showcase. So we're in the middle of our mentorship program currently, but if you are a BIPOC artist and are looking for mentorship next year, applications will reopen in January. That's it.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I was
Conrad is one of our mentees, actually.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to.
You has mentors too.
Plethora of tips here, which is an excellent segue to my next question for the panelists, because I do want to be conscious of the Q&A time that we want to accomplish. So I'm going to ask them, so you all are going to attend, hopefully, other panels, and it's going to be a wild weekend, and wild weekend in terms of energy. And Monday, you're going to say, wow, a lot happened. So I'm going to ask the panelists to give us a to-do list. If there is one thing these folks could do in the next 3 to 4 days, or a little beyond, give them their to-do list, the next thing that they should do. Okay, let that gel for a moment. So it's advice, but here's one thing you need to do now. Okay? A little variation on our original question. John, I see you're ready to go.
I think that a great thing for anyone that's in the music business, in the industry at all, to stew on is what we've been talking about when it comes to choosing your lane. For my artists, I suggest that they pick 3 things and do those. If you're anything like me, you probably want to have your hands in a little bit of everything. because it's interesting. You know, why wouldn't you want to try this and try this and try this? And I think that's really important too. But when you're starting to buckle down and you're being serious and you've decided, I want to be a musician, I want to be in the music business, choosing 3 things, and those 3 things could be, hopefully they are very complementary to one another. But those 3 things allow you to get to that hypothetical 10,000 hours much quicker than if you're doing 10 things and you're like, oh, well, let me do a little bit of music licensing over here, and then let me do a little bit of this, which maybe music licensing wasn't the best example there, because everyone can do a little music licensing if you have put in your 10,000 hours as a songwriter, for example.
Or, I'm using this.
No, it's fine.
Or you do research on music supervisors and places like, I don't even know the little places where you send in your music. What are they? Yeah, those, yeah. I mean, the thing about that is they get 15,000 songs, so you're one of 15,000 songs. My suggestion would be do research in whatever you are doing. If you want to be a music supervisor, you're not an artist, learn about it. Buy the book that Kayla said. Learn about what you want to do. Learn who the music supervisors are. When you watch it, if you want to do sync, watch a TV show, see who the music supervisor is, Google them, learn, and you never know where it can end up. I'm just so big on researching and knowing if you have 3 lanes, producing, writing, and sync, learn about the 3 of them the most that you can, and network, and follow up. And never send music. I've gotten music, I hope you can use my songs, thank you. I have no idea who it's from. So just be, organized and knowledgeable.
I think I would say, first and foremost, take care of your mental health. Because if you are not in a space, I mean, we're under a siege all day from every angle, from everything. Taking care of your mental health allows you to have that creative capacity that you need to be an artist, or to manage an artist, or to deal with high pressure environments. So taking care of your mental health will actually increase your capacity. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is, again, as they're saying, network. It's not just a one throw out, hey, I sent you an email and they didn't answer me, so now I'm over it.
Follow
so
up.
Gonna go past it. We're busy. We have bosses sometimes that are asking for stuff, and we can't get right back to you. So utilize LinkedIn. I know some of you in this room probably are like, ugh, LinkedIn. Let me tell you, it is the hottest spot right now for connecting to other people. It just really is. And you're getting at such a high level, you're getting the executives. I always tell everybody, I don't do middle management stuff. I only do the executive people, because they can give me my answer, a yes or a no, right away. Okay, now I can go to the next thing. I have issues with patience, so therefore, I want to get my yes or my no right away. And then I would also say that the other thing for each and every one of you is find your joy in whatever work it is that you're doing. So even if it's something that is tedious to you, find the joy in that work, so that you can feel comfortable enough in continuing to repeat those exercises, because a lot of the work that you're going to do is very repetitive, and you're going to feel like it's a detraction from your creative space, because you're trying to figure out, okay, we are in a deficit, and how are we going to go on tour, right? Find the joy of saying, okay, look, you know what, we're in a deficit. Why don't we just go out in our front yard and play for the neighbors and see if they'll give us $5? Ask for the bare minimum, $5. Watch. That's how we earned a whole radio station. We got a signal off of asking people for $5. It happens. We don't have to have these grandiose ideas on what those dollars have to look like. It may take you a little bit more time to do it at $5 method, but $50,000 from $5 and $50,000 straight up from one person is the same money last time I checked. So again, take care of your mental health. I see so many struggling artists on a national level and the international level that just walk away from the business because they cannot find peace. That has to be first. It's got to be your primary.
Okay, we just threw so much at you, like so much, and I bet it feels really daunting. Like, how? What is the how? How do I do all of these things? So I just want to like recap really, really quickly so we can get into the Q&A. But first, take care of yourself, right? So connect with yourself. That's where it starts. This whole thing, this whole industry is about cultivating connection, and it has to start with you. So get familiar with your creative process, get familiar with who you are and what you want to project out into the world, right? So start there, and the things that we just mentioned, I think the top ones have been touring and performing, merchandise, sync and writing, education, and sponsorship. Oh yeah, I didn't even get to talk about that yet. Do your homework, yeah. So spend some time reflecting, ask yourself questions. What is your intention as an artist? Get clear on that. And don't chase anything. Do not chase the money. Do not chase the checks. This is about joy. That's your foundation. Because you can end up in a relationship that is out of alignment with you, and that isn't going to serve you or your audience. So get very clear on who you are and what it is that you want to attract, and let that guide you. Start to trust yourself and your own intuition.
Thank you for that summary, Kayla. I think you nailed it. And all of those words of wisdom should be taken to heart. And again, think about, as Kayla mentioned, we've shared a lot of stuff with you. You're drinking from the fire hose right now. And just think about what we've said, and maybe there's one or two things you can commit yourself to doing right now. I would say one thing that's very easy is networking. This weekend, you're either going to stand in line to see somebody else, and there's going to be people next to you, beside you. Talk to them. Ask them who they are. You're going to be up on stage performing. You're going to meet people who are working backstage helping you. Talk to them. Get to know them. All that. So that's what I would add. So we're going to have you ask some, look at this, 12:30, exactly, 15 minutes of Q&A. I've got other questions I can certainly ask these folks, but let's hear from you. Who has a question? And I'll try to, all right, we'll start with you and then you, sir.
Darcy, independent artist here. I'm selling merch that doesn't have a very high margin, and so I'm wondering what your thoughts are on high margin merch options that are not t-shirts, because the world does not need more t-shirts, or experiences. As a beginning artist, what are your thoughts on how I might market experiences? Thank you.
I love, love, love experiences, because it's not always about the tangible. You have to look at things kind of from a generational standpoint. I'm going to say I'm kind of in between generations, or I claim to be in all generations, even though I know I'm not. But experiences really can be extremely lucrative, but they need to be well thought out, right? So if you're going to do, one of the cool things to do is to identify people in the audience who are really vibing with you, maybe that you don't know, right? Like, you're going to have your fans, your family that are always going to be there. Tell your family, like, hey, I'll meet you guys like 10 minutes after, 20 minutes after the show. I want to go out and be with the people. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go, hey, give me some feedback, right? Give me some information about what you thought. Can we sit down and let's talk about lyrics or whatever it is? What was it that vibed out with you? And you could do a lot of these things digitally. Now with Zoom and, Google Meet and all these things, you could be holding your own like listening sessions that are valuable, because you could say, okay, I'm going to play 5 songs. Right? And you all have the power to pick the song that's going to show up on my EP. And I want you to come in and give me the feedback. Would you change something? Do you like this? Is this something where you feel like it resonates and reflects back to you? That would this be something that you would pay 99 cents for, right? Because it's digital, right? Those innocent connections may seem like it's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's how radio stations build their audiences. We do the same thing. The hardest thing I ever did was start a radio station from scratch in a hyper-competitive market when people aren't listening to the radio like they're saying. But it's not true. So don't believe the hype on everything that the media is telling you about, they were an instant winner and they were instantly famous. No, it takes years. It takes time. So don't believe that story. Definitely connect with your local radio stations, your public media stations, and maybe not even in Colorado, maybe it's in a surrounding state. That gives you that opportunity, again, to create that kind of sustainable connection. No, you don't have to do t-shirts, but find out what your audience likes, because you might be shocked. They might like a t-shirt.
And I think to expand on what Nikki was talking about, is that merch in and of itself is you providing something that is of value to a potential fan. So I think when you start to look at it that way, there are different sort of avenues, like your access to you might be that thing, right? But I also don't want to cop out of the specific question you asked. When working with touring artists, we found that apparel, unfortunately, is one of the highest margin options. There are ways to do things like upcycling, which is a cool, if you know somebody that has a screen printer, for example, and you can be thrifty, you can create something that's unique that a potential fan would value more than just another t-shirt, trademark, just another t-shirt. I also think that in the industries that I came from, posters were of extremely high margin item, which is also a way to support visual artists. So if you have people in your community, in your network, that are very talented and you can produce things that are of high quality and can sort of commemorate an event or an album or something that has meaning to a fan, I think that's, kind of at the core more than, oh, well, we have this type of item or this type of item. Yeah, you can do vinyl. The margins are lower on that, but people see it as more of a collectible than they would a t-shirt. So I would ask yourself some of those questions more than specifically looking at only what the highest margin items are.
And it's not necessarily about you, right? Yes, you're going to reflect. Yes, it's not necessarily about you yourself as the artist, right? This is really a great opportunity for you to co-connect or co-create with your audience. So listening to what it is that they're telling you that they want, and then delivering that. Because we'll get inside our own spaces and be like, oh, this is what I stand for and all these things. Yes, that's true. And is that what your audience stands for, though? That's where we get in trouble and you have the disconnect. It's because we start getting into, well, this is what it is, and then the audience is like, well, you're not really for me because you don't really hear, I really want that t-shirt real bad.
Also, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Real super quick, print on demand. Highly recommend that for print on demand.
Real quick, the main thing I think you all have to do is trust your gut about whatever you are doing. Just trust your gut. If you think, well, I'm not so sure, don't do it. But also, as far as merch, what would you want? If you went somewhere and you saw an artist, what would you want?
All right. Next question. Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you, Darcy.
This question is specifically for Miss Nikki. I'm an artist down in Colorado Springs. My name is Blair. And
Go CS.
I have been having a struggle with building relationships with radio stations. It's been easy to stream, it's been easy to do merch, but building that connection with different people from the radio station, how do you go about doing that, and what steps should you take?
Ooh, see, I'm going to sidebar you, but I'm going to give you a tertiary answer, because I'm going to give you a bunch of information for you to contact, and give you direct emails to folks so you can send your product in. But it's all about how you approach the pathway to it too. Not like, oh, I'm the best artist, you ain't ever heard no music. I got 1 billion emails of that, right? And I'm like, okay, so how do I know that you are the best artist when the next artist next to you just said they were the best artist and the artist next to them said they were the best artist? I don't have any discernment in that. Music meetings happen and we listen to music and it's either gonna be a vibe or it's not. We may send you back and be like, yo, this doesn't hit the flavor. Making sure you're matching who you're trying to talk to. Because sometimes I'll get a record that is so not related to what it is that we're working on or what it is the format of the station, and I can't even push the edges to do it. Great record, can't work with it, right? So making sure that you're paying attention to the flavor of the station, understanding what their principles and guiding points are, getting to know folks. We, as public media entities, and I can speak for both, I worked on commercial, I worked at KS 1075. Local Love, the show, launched at KS 1075, right? Then I brought it into public media because I could have better leverage. But what it was I went to the shows. And I went and I said, and I waited. All the artists would like be off in the corner, not answering. They wouldn't even talk to me. And I'm like, I'm from the radio station, yo. I could get your music on the air. You don't even want to converse with me or say anything. Remember, you never know who that connection will be. Talk to everybody. Make friends with everybody. You don't know where that next hotspot is. But I will give you very specific information with some very specific names, okay? No problem.
I would also just want to quickly say, research, to Bonnie's point and to Nikki's point both. Researching who, obviously, what is important, and to bring it back to music licensing, if you're writing for music licensing specifically, you don't have a public-facing artist persona. You're writing for sync. Look at trends. Look at what is working. Look at what your local radio station is playing. Don't just expect that your music, because it's good, let's say that it's the best music ever. Don't just expect that it's what they need.
Another question, perhaps, possibly I'll ask one, but any other questions? Okay, all right.
Hi, my name is Sol. I am from Peru.
This voice.
Yes.
I'm all like, can we get you on a commercial right now? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Radio
down.
break.
I'm up for it. I love
That's
it.
also an
I also
option.
love radio so much. I just wanted to ask for you, like, especially for the publishing part, I think it's very important for all of us. What are you looking for? Like, you know, what are the things that you're like, okay, this can make it, or like, because I am an international kind of person, I don't really live here, and I've noticed that everything publish-wise works with internet. I mean, I use DistroKid, for example. I don't know if you heard of it. It's usually for all the indie artists. And yeah, some interesting things can happen there, but I don't know what the pros are looking for because, you know, that's really important.
I have such a wide spread, such a wide net, depending on a brief that I get. I just got a song in an Apple TV show, which was by an artist for a specific genre. I've been asked for just drum music. I've been asked for give me a song, lyrics with the sun. Hello. It's all over the place. There's so many different genres of music. And if I do a TV show, like I was working with a music supervisor from Yellowstone, you know, there's a specific vibe in that series. I was friendly with the guy from Ted Lasso. There were specific songs depending on a scene. So there's nothing out of the question. Nothing. So as far as what I'm looking for, everything. I know that's crazy, but it's true.
Well, you want good quality.
Oh, well, yeah, hello. I want good quality, but I sort of take that for granted that I don't even have to mention.
Because I get bad music. So
No.
well,
You know, I've gotten bad music, but most of it is, you know, if they know who I am or what I do, and then I don't send a bunch of crap. Say what again?
What are the kind of emails that you do answer?
That's good, thank you. Somebody that I've met in a situation like this that I know it's so important to me that you guys educate yourself. That's my main thing. Some schlemiel that's standing on the corner could be the most talented person in the world, but there's a protocol on how you do this. And if you say to me, I met you at the Youth on Record thing, I'm going to remember you and I'm going to listen to your music.
Two resources to look into the really specifics of what is working in TV and ads. TuneFind.com, highly suggest that. It shows basically every song that's used in every TV show. So you can search by artist, you can search by show.
I did not know that.
It's extremely valuable. And then the other one is iSpot, iSpot.tv. This goes the other way around and shows you basically every commercial that gets used ever. So with iSpot specifically, you may have to, find something like, hey, I write music that I think would be great for sports. I want my music to be played right before commercial on, in the upcoming NFL season. Great. Go look at what the NFL is playing. Go look at the types of ads they're running. Go, you have to immerse yourself into things that you want to be involved in, which is, I don't think we can overstate. Research is literally like, because if you send something that quality is only one part of it.
It's a business.
One last comment.
It's literally a business. So do your business.
Practice. Like, watch the show that you like or sports, study that. This is a discipline. You have to study. And try your hand at it. Like, if you love Euphoria, watch the season of Euphoria. They have a very specific sound that is the soundscape of that show. Then stop, once you've finished it, try writing a song that you think would fit in that show.
But I think you're asking more about the methodology of how to write the email to get to the person.
She is, but he was trying to wrap me up, so he was like, just end with one comment. So that was mine. Discipline, study, try your hand at it.
And learn to write that email.
Be succinct
So
and get to the point.
Google that.
So-
You can literally Google how to email a supervisor. Get a template.
I'm the greatest. You want me.
there you have it. Which brings me to my last point before we close out here. Nikki used the word sidebar. These folks aren't running away right now. They've got places to be, but maybe not immediately. Come say hi to them afterwards. Start that networking. Secondly, I'm going to turn motivational speaker here. All of these people are very talented. You can see the wisdom they're sharing, but everybody in this room, all of you have a talent too. You are great as well. We're all together in this. So find that, focus on it, and do your best. And we'll see you up on here sharing 10 years from now your experiences. Lastly, thank you. This panel